Welcome to another edition of the Civ Battle Royale. My name is Dawkinzz, and let's get right into part 114. Greetings, viewers from the submarine. Welcome to yet another exciting episode of the one and only Civ Battle Royale Mark 2.1. I'm Reddit user Voltacore, but you may know me better in our CBR Discord group as Algernon Charles Swinburne. I was wondering who the hell that was and all of your clones. In short, I'm a longtime viewer who has been a die-hard fan of Henry Morgan's Buccaneers since way back in Mark 1, but this is my first time narrating. Now that my name in Discord has been changed from a Buccaneer Black to a Brazilian Green, let's get started. In the meantime, here's a piece of original content made by my mate, user the Benno. Yar. First up is our melon-colored map, well, mostly melon-colored, of the cylinder made by our in-sub cartographer, Spherical Melon. It's maddening to see Brazil take over so much of the map, but at least they're preventing any possibility of border gore, or border gore, which they crushed. And again, here is our weekly tile-accurate map by user Der Erlingkonig from the conclusion of part 113. Gaze upon its vast blue oceans and its land masses covered mostly in different shades of green. And in a shocking turn of events, once again our top spot on our power rankings is none other than the magnanimous Pedro II of Brazil. This giant green glob shows no signs of shrinking soon. However, before we get to these slides, I'm going to take a bet that Brazil doesn't take a new victim this part. But enough talk. Let's have at this next part of the CBR. And we begin once again in the English, Irish, Icelandic Isles. Or, I guess not for very long. Well, yeah. While Belfast holds steadfast against the Brazilian advance, we can see cities along the front lines feeling the pressure from Derby to Limerick. Will we see Pedro capture the pyramids of Dublin next turn? Also, although Iceland may have had one tile on mainland Europe before, the captures of Canterbury and Nottingham may officially have removed Iceland's presence from all mainland continents. Welcome back to the Baltic Sea. Here we see Brazil take Malmo and dipping into mainland Sweden with the capture of Sigtuna, but the city looks likely to be flipped right back to the Lion of the North. With the capture of Västerås, Sweden's capital has begun to truly feel the pressure of the Carnival. While Gustavus has some defenses prepared for embarked Brazilian army, it doesn't look like he has much time left before his core will be covered in green. Ew. After all, we can also see Brazil putting pressure on Lodose and Helsinki. Oh boy, here we go with all of these fun names. To the east, we find the clashing green and gray front of Brazil versus Sabir. In the center of the slide, we find Kulvola to be another city that falls to the Carnival. However, with a large pocket of gray troops nearby, it is likely that this city will be flipped over in the next turn, or next few turns, and reduced to almost nothing but rubble. With many Arctic cities in the yellow, we should also look out for a winner in the small battle for the cylinder's roof. Here we see that Brazil has successfully completed the capture of the Caspian Sea by taking the cities of Merv and Rusadir. However, the presence of only a few Brazilian troops on the bottom of this slide is somewhat concerning. Kuchum may be able to take back these strategic holdings and more if he directed more of his troops southward, but pressure on the court of Attila limits Kuchum's movement. Not a single city in this slide is at maximum health. With Jalalabad going to Sabir and Fujian going to Brazil, there's a DBZ reference in there somewhere, this meeting point of three civs continues to be an absolute mess. However, a fresh new wave of Carnival attendees is pushing hard into this region, with Jalalabad and even Lhasa at risk of being taken. While Sabir is putting up some kind of fight, Vietnam's army looks almost non-existent. The balance of power is shifting. Looking at the front line between Vietnam and Brazil, the first thing that I notice is the fact that Vietnam once again has almost no troops in their land compared to the amount found in Brazil's. What gives? Even Rangoon looks close to falling to Brazil. But then I noticed that Vietnam's air force is quite dense in this region, and no Brazilian cities on the slide have any air units present. Many Brazilian cities here are in the red. It seems that the Trung sisters personally prefer the air, or the sisters could be preparing to unleash more nuclear hellfire should the Brazilians go further. Yancanara Falls. The Brazilian naval divisions present enjoy a cool break before they finish the massive undertaking that Pedro has led. Personally, let's just say he's there personally, trying to kill Paul Kruger. The final city and new capital of the Boers, the Antarctic city of Luma, may very well be the final resting place of Paul Kruger and his Boer Reich. As a Boer naval vessel journeys home, possibly for the last time, we see that Brazil has added another capital to their ranks with the capture of Jakarta. Even though Pedro has also taken my son for ransom, it looks likely that it will soon be back under the darker green rule of Henry Parks. With Vietnam included, this slide has 3 different shades of green. Will we see less of one of these colors soon? It kind of looks like an ad for a Flubber sequel. I just needed to add a Flubber sequel. I needed a Flubber reference in there somewhere. It's like gooey and green. And this is perfect, so this is as good as it's gonna get. Here, we see that Pedro's being pressured into the Philippines. Once again, his trouble seems to be stemming from his lack of air units in his cities here, as the Aussies in Vietnam have thrown all of Brazil's cities here into the red. But with XCOMs landing around the region, Pedro could likely flip them back. On this slide, we see that Pedro has solidified his gains into real-life China by taking the city of Nyanghang. Additionally, we can also see XCOMs gazing at the ruins of former Gwangju while they prepare to take the Korean capital of Seoul, adding another to his little capital menagerie. We see that Vietnam once again appears to lack troops in this region, creating a vacuum that will likely be taken by Brazilian XCOMs and a wave of Siberian biotroopers. Finally, Pedro laughs at the sight of the city of Hue. Or is it Huh? However, while the city is almost completely destroyed, we see here that Korea has taken back Kyoto from Brazil. Additionally, many cities nearby have been reduced to the red and Tokyo has been brought down to the black. Can Korea take back the land of the rising sun before it's too late? Moving a bit to the north, we can once again see many Vietnamese cities in the red. While Korea and Vietnam appear to be on roughly equal footing in this region, Sabir's army is in the area and it looks like it could be devastating if they were to drop south onto Korea's and Vietnam's northern lands. They're even pressuring Archer on the slide, my goodness. However, the Brazilian XCOMs move ever closer. On this slide, we can see many events at once. Sibir taking 2 cities from the Inuit on the north part of the world, Siberian biotroopers preparing to devastate their nearby foes, Brazilian XCOMs defending their damaged enclave, but to be honest, the most surprising thing I noticed is the puppeted Inuit city of Gwangju, a small Inuit village with only a single worker present, seemingly untouched by the utter devastation of total war. For now. The Inuits' current capital of Sanarajik is blockaded and in the yellow. If they can, Korea should push hard now to get as much land as possible before this war gets any worse. Oh, Korea's even using their carriers properly. What? Good work, Korea. By the way, watch out for that sneaky Brazilian XCOM. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw another Brazilian enclave here in the north pretty soon. We don't see a change in city ownership here, but we can definitely see a power difference in this region. The Brazilian Navy shown here is likely to push west from their homeland soon and spread the Carnival to the ocean surrounding Australia's nearby Antarctic holdings. Get ready, boys. Welcome back to the Inuit core, as we once again remember the fact that the once proud Inuit capital of Ivavik is still in Brazilian hands. However, we can also see that Brazil has added Ciudad Guayana to their pile of cities and created an impressive front line to the east of their new holdings. Even the former Canadian city of Windsor is being invited to the Carnival. Now, if only the Inuit had the opportunity to put all of those naval units to good use. Moving slightly east, we can see more Brazilians filling up the Inuits' area of the cylinder's roof. Although no cities have changed hands yet in this slide, it is likely that many of these cities will turn green once any Inuit biotrooper present they're just wiped out by the approaching Brazilian army. But once again, we can see the lack of any Brazilian air units. Will this icy area be turned into ash by Inuit intercontinental ballistic missiles? Moving slightly more easter, we can see Brazilian forces surrounding the Inuit holdings close to Hudson Bay and Icelandic Greenland. I have very little doubt that Pedro will be able to take these few cities that he currently surrounds. However, my question is, where to next? Will he continue to move to the north and take more land from the Inuit, or will he divert his troops towards Greenland? I mean, it would make sense, because it's part of his namesake, I guess. He's green. There's a joke there. Phew. Welcome to a new turn. To quote Hearts of Iron 4, another batch of maps made obsolete. Compared to the last time we saw this region, I don't see any city flips. However, my sun looks slightly smaller. Strange. Other than that, some cities from all three green nations are all in the red or the black. Any light tap on the walls of many cities there might cause them to come tumbling down. And we're not even near Jericho. Damn it, I hate it when I'm right. I told you to watch out for Brazilian XComs. Why didn't you listen, Sejong? Even though Sejong was able to take Wakayama, Brazilian XComs were able to successfully devastate the Australian army protecting Tokyo and make the city one with the growing Carnival. With this city flip, the Aussies have been kicked off of mainland Japan. Well, at least the Australian city of Gladstone stands on Ryukyu, for now. So, also of note, Vietnam has claimed the charred remains of Gwangju. Nice work. At least I don't see any Brazilian XComs here. Nice work. Once again, we can see Sejong putting those carriers to good use by bringing... Damn you, Crowfoot, you magnificent bastard. Akai kokaki nek kwaki serpi niku to the black. Sejong also continues to put pressure on the current Inuit capital. If he can bring some of those embarked units to land, he may be able to flip it. Just barely, we can see the Inuit take back. However, we once again can see the amount of friendly units packed within Sibir's land compared to Kuchum's neighbor. Time's a wasting, Kuchum. You can't do this. Bring the Siberian hurt. However, the once peaceful village of Gwangju will soon become just another target of this total war. Otrar does end up falling to Sibir as their army changes into Vietnam's Chinese holdings. We may see Sibir take Beijing, that'd be cool. Even though any traces of Mao's legacy have been stripped from this ancient capital, Kuchum will surely remember him if he is able to successfully take the city. In other news, Brazilian tiles dot the front lines and we can see their XComs move ever closer. And here come the Brazilians. Despite their cities being pummeled by Vietnamese air attacks, Brazilian forces pour across the sea towards Rangoon. Some Brazilian naval units also look ready to attack the sea close to Mandalay and attempt to protect any one-tile island cities that may be nearby. Damn, now that is a front line. Within this meat grinder that is the Brazilian-Siberian border, we see the city of Kane being flipped to Brazil. With Brazilian Kuvola and Siberian Zybo both in the red, I am surprised to see that Attila's court appears to be untouched. While this region is stagnant now, I'm worried that Sibir may run out of troops to grind before Brazil does. Have fun, you two. It's like a middle school dance. There's just so much grinding and you wish it wasn't happening. Once again, we are met with a clash of armies, this time on the former Finnish border between Sweden and Brazil. Currently, it looks as though Gustavus is holding on strong here, but the city of Jönköping looks ripe for the taking by the advancing Brazilian forces, and embarked Brazilian units may bring the Carnival to many other Swedish and Siberian cities in the yellow here. Sweden takes back Sigtuna while Brazil secures Lodose in the east. The city of Vastares may soon flip back to Sweden, but more Brazilian forces have landed on this Swedish heartland. If they are able to survive, this may devastate Sweden's ability to fight back. In other news, Brazil now pressures Visby as Brazilian troops appear to be attempting an invasion of Swedish Norway from the Isles. Brazil continues to drive Iceland from the Isles as they take Limerick and almost take Dublin. They soon may be called the Brazilian Isles before the part wraps up. We even see mainland Iceland being threatened as Thingvellir takes a wee bit of damage. That's probably how you pronounce it. Iceland has also begun to fall. The Brazilian XComs move ever closer. Here we can better see the damage done to real-life Ireland as Derry falls to a Brazilian XCom. While Iceland has a somewhat sizable navy close by, and carriers once again proving to be useful, Ingolfur needs to quickly place more armies on this island before Iceland ends up being the only island that he owns. The tombs that have existed here for millennia will witness the battle for control firsthand. Mostly Icelandic Greenland in all of its icy glory. With a lack of Inuit units nearby, the city of Nattfaravik is likely to fall sometime soon. However, with the fall of the Inuit city of Hafnarfjordur to Brazil, we can see that the Brazilian troops have begun to make their way north to capture more of Ingolfur's holdings. He needs to shift some of his vast navy westward to block this advance, or he's done. Once the city has been pressured enough, Windsor flipped to Brazilian forces and was made one with the Carnival, the Eternal Party. While no other cities have fallen yet, Okuskesasklych, that's sure, looks ready to fall as it is thrown into the red as Brazilian troops almost completely surround the city. One by one, each Inuit city is being melted by the Carnival. There's just so much spicy heat. And here we have, here's a strange sight at this point in the CBR. We have peaceful waters. Surrounded by lands once owned by Mexico and Hawaii, this ocean only contains a few Australian naval units. The Pacific garbage patch is nowhere to be seen. It's so peaceful. But it can't last, can it? With the start of a new turn, things continue to take a turn for the worse for Ingolfur as Brazil secures the ancient pyramids of Dublin. Pedro pauses his worldwide party for a brief moment to gaze upon the beauty of these tombs. But alas, these ancient wonders are one of many that Pedro already owns. He continues to push forward as Belfast becomes close to falling. On a side note, Sibir and Korea seem to be finally getting along. Or not. This is total war, remember? It seems that Gustavus is now not able to hold the line against Brazil. Off-screen, Brazil has taken back Sigtuna and has pushed through the Swedish forces in the east to take the former Finnish capital of Helsinki. That's another one for his collection. If Brazil were to take Västerås, then I would not be surprised if Stockholm were to soon follow. However, it looks as though the citizens of Stockholm want to join the Carnival after all. To the east, more Brazilian forces continue to embark towards and invade the lands near Jönköping and my favorite city in the entire world, Jyväskylä. Additionally, the border between Sweden and Sibir has been severed by Brazil as they take Akrafum. However, the few Siberian cities continue to stand strong, for now. Once again, we find ourselves on the Brazilian-Siberian meat grinder. However, this is an unsettling sight. While no cities have flipped since the last time we saw this border, we can see that the Siberian frontline is not receiving many new troops as more and more Brazilian troops storm forward, keeping Zybo in the black. This is not gonna be pretty. Farther southeast, we can see more cracks appearing in Sibir's front line as Attila's court begins to be attacked as Brazil also takes the city of Jarmadaganburu. That's a mouthful, and prepares to take Tus. A Siberian great general prepares his biotroopers for what may be the last fight of their lives. Despite these cracks, at least each Siberian city present is contained and protected by troops. A Brazilian city close to real-life Sri Lanka falls to Vietnam and is further devastated by total war. Navally, it appears that Vietnam has a slight edge in this region, even being able to throw a massive city like Colombo into the red. But wait, way to go, Pedro. You remembered to take a break from partying to divert air units to your Indian holdings. Get back to leading the Carnival, you party animal, and all the while Brazilian XComs move ever closer. Off-screen, Jakarta and my son stay under Brazilian control while they also pick up Wangari and Orange from the Aussies. Mataram should also fall to Brazil any turn now, and many cities nearby Brazil's holdings are at very low health. Brazil has many directions in which they can expand, and we have no idea to predict whether they will move towards Cathara or Makassar. But one thing is for certain, the Brazilian XComs move ever closer. Brazil's Philippines are still battered and horribly bruised, but no one nearby has taken the leap to secure these cities. However, Brazil continues to lob XComs wherever they can. At least Vietnam was able to successfully recover Hoi An, but it should not be long until the city flips right back to the Carnival. After all, the Brazilian XComs move ever closer. Brazilian units continue to fill up the east coast of China, while the amount of Vietnamese troops to the west once again appear to be very limited. The Trung sisters are still under a great risk of being absolutely steamrolled in the next few turns. In other news, Brazil has also nullified some of Korea's gains by taking back the city of Wakayama. Finally, the Australian cities of Aioli and Gladstone continue to burn. Oh my, many exciting moves have been made. Brazil taking cities such as Guangzhou, Chamdo, and Jianghe off-screen are exciting. Kuchum Khan has been able to capture Beijing, giving him a capital, which is cool. However, his victory will likely be spoiled by yet another one of Pedro's XCOM units. Where's that sound? I thought you were a party animal, Pedro. Don't ruin Kuchum's party. The Siberian mass of biotroopers has finally begun to chip away at the defenses of the Korean city of Cheokgyeor. That's Yakusha for you, I think. But something is missing. The once peaceful village of Gungju has fallen victim to the horrors of war. Once a city of many owned by the Inuit, it is now a city of many owned by Kuchum Khan. Such is life on the cylinder. At least Sibir now has a chance to take out Ambarchik. The Inuit continue to barely hold on to Tjonskatjoi, and that's against Sibir's biotrooper horde. However, the Inuit must face a new threat as Korea begins to tear down the defenses of Zingangsk. There you go. Hopefully the Inuit Navy in the northeastern corner will be able to somewhat slow down these invaders. Man, Inuit, how far you have fallen. Once again, Sejong, I tried to warn you. You would think that you would be smarter than this based on your UA. Thanks to the initial naval pressure from Korea, Brazil has been able to secure an Inuit city in the northern Pacific Ocean. While they may not control it for long, Brazil can use these cities to launch more XComs around the cylinder. Even now, they continue to put pressure on Inuit cities, with many of them in the yellow on this slide. This pocket of Inuit forces in the North American roof of the cylinder continue to be driven back as Brazil manages to secure Okasukasukit. However, at least the Inuit lands present here appear to be dense with units. If Pedro is still able to advance north from here, it seems very likely that it will be much slower than before. The Inuit continue to stand in the former Canadian territory, but they won't for long, it seems. The Brazilian front line has moved north, with Sherbrooke being brought down to half health, and the cities of St. Catharines and Sarnia being surrounded by Brazilian partygoers. It's crazy. In other news, the Inuit are still in Greenland. Nice work, White Walkers. Alright everyone, take a break. Time to stretch, as here comes a new turn. Right off the bat, we see an exciting yet disappointing city flip. Akinek was able to take back his rightful capital of Ivavik, but, well, as you can see, that didn't last. But at least Akinek could say that for one moment, he was truly home once again. Going right back to Canada, we can see that Sherbrooke was indeed consumed by the Carnival. However, it looks as though St. Catharines and Sarnia were barely touched. However, the one-tile island city of Taloyok is blockaded and looks ready to fall. And look at all those embarked Brazilians. In other news, Greenland is still not completely Icelandic. Get to work on that, Ingolfer. However, with a better view of Greenland, it appears that Ingolfer is getting to work on that. Good thinking, bud. As Brazilian units continue to embark from North America, we can still see that the influence of Big Carrier, TM, is still alive and well to the east of Brazil's Canadian holdings. Now that I think about it a bit more, Brazil should really bring more of a navy up here to more easily secure Greenland. Get to work on that, Pedro, or you could just flood it with XComs, that works too. And once again, with this new view of the Isles, we can see that another Irish city has fallen to the influence of the Carnival. Hey, it's green once again. This time, the city of Belfast accepts Pedro's invitation. However, it appears that the city of Grindavik, founded by Iceland, may be the next to fall. I'll confidently bet that it will be Brazilian the next time we see it. The same bet applies to the city of York as well. Also, whoa, I almost missed that the Icelandic capital of Reykjavik is at half health. They're at half. That's not good. Be careful, Ingolfer. The carnival's coming for you. Now, we can confirm that Sigtuna has once again fallen to Brazil, and they have also captured Visby. While there isn't a grand invasion of Norway like I expected, the large amount of units positioned in Denmark should make the Lion of the North turn tail and run in fear of the incoming Carnival. On the east side of the screen, we can barely see Stockholm holding on, but in the red, with the units nearby, the city should fall. Attila's court in Sintra remain Siberian for now, but the city of Zybo falls to the Brazilian line. However, being in the black, the city could still be flipped back and forth. While it appears that Sibir may have some new troops again, it still looks as though Brazil is slowly getting the advantage along the border. With Jalalabad under Brazilian control, Brazil has once again severed a border between two civs. This time, he has separated the fronts of Sibir and Vietnam, with Brazil sending troops north to swarm Ningxi and then moving south to attempt to free the Tibetan enclave of Lhasa from Vietnamese clutches. These fronts may only continue to grow farther and farther apart. Here we can see a better shot of the Brazilian invasion of Lhasa. Compared to previous invaders, Brazil seems to be moving quite quickly through the mountains to reach the last bastion of freedom on the cylinder. With additional pressure being added to Hoi Lu, the Brazilian forces continue to push back the Trung sisters. However, Vietnamese cities to the south still seem to stand strong. For now. Finally, Brazil has been able to advance farther towards real-life Malaysia, with two city captures, one of them being the conquering of Simapura and the recapturing of Sri Jayawardhanapura Kotte. Brazil continues to acquire more I can pronounce that, but I can't pronounce helpful. Brazil continues to acquire more helpful footholds to use as XCOM springboards. Hell, the XCOMs are already here, attacking Amaravati, that's the one. Nice work, Pedro. While Brazil loses the city of Wangari to the Australians, they traded for the city of Mataram. However, this loss will likely result in the additional loss of the city of Orange back to Australia. But as the city of Wangari, there it is, looks ready to fall back to Brazil, only time will tell what happens in this region. Well, that was unexpected. I expected Olongapo to be a shade of green different from Australia's, but not that shade of green. Olongapo falls to Vietnam, but Manila still remains under Brazilian control. Also, I almost missed that Hoi An is back under Brazilian control. Welcome back to the Carnival. As mentioned previously, Hoi An is once again Brazilian thanks to another cheeky Brazilian XCOM, but when looking at Brazilian holdings with little health and the Vietnamese holdings with full health, except for Tianjin and Vagan, one can truly see the importance of having air units. You could wipe them out so much faster if you use planes, Pedro. Well, or nukes. That's another option. In other news, aioli, a delicious aioli, falls to Brazil. Only Gladstone remains under Australian control in Japan. Pedro, what did I tell you? I told you not to ruin Kuchum's party for capturing Beijing. What a party pooper. Brazil takes Beijing from the only remaining Khan because he's a bully. He just wants every toy, and he takes Jeonju and appears to be ready to take much of the Korean heartland as well. Many Korean cities in the slide, including their capital, are hurting badly. In other news, Pedro doesn't take the city of Hui or Hue bulbs. Alright, I don't think he's laughing anymore. Despite his best efforts, it appears as though Kuchum has been unable to advance much into Korea so far through Tyakyachar. However, I think I see what he's planning to do. He may be able to sneak around the mountains to the south and capture Adong, but who am I kidding? There's another Brazilian XCOM. This entire game, Brazil's best ability has just been the ability to seemingly be everywhere at once. There's some kind of quantum mechanics thing going on. As each turn passes, the Brazilian XCOMs move ever closer. And here on the final slide, we see that nothing has changed since last turn in the Northern Pacific. However, now that Sanajarak is in the red, this may be Korea's time to take it. However, with Korea's lack of units in the area, this seems pretty unlikely. Who could take it though? Oh look, a Brazilian XCOM. No sound that time. Well, everyone, it's been an absolute treat to narrate this part. Again, I've been following this crazy game for years, and it warms my heart that I could somehow contribute to it. But to be honest, I've got a senior design report due in a few weeks, so I should probably get back to work, damn it. Once again, this has been user Voltacore, or Algernon Charles Swinburne on the CBR Discord. Getting hyped for CBRX. Scotland forever, boo. Beat the Manx, boo. Manx are better. We'll see you all next week for a brand new part of the Civilization Battle Royale. Play me out, Dawkinzz. Oh, okay. I will, I guess. Anyway, guys, this has been another edition of the audio narration for the Civ Battle Royale, part 114. Let's Get Silly, as the working title we're going with. And if you liked it, please like and subscribe. We have some great news coming. We have just concluded our voting period for the next iteration of the Civ Battle Royale. If you are unfamiliar with what's going on, say you're new, whatever it is, this has been Mark 2.1. It was a revival of Mark 2, which is the continuation of Mark 1. The dev team, they have been tirelessly working on the next iteration, the CBRX, or CBRX, as many have been able to call it. It is going to be the next big thing. We have a brand new defined map with all brand new civs that have never been in the CBR before, if you don't count Mark 3. But yeah, it's very exciting. Go to reddit.com/r/Civ Battle Royale. Link is in the description. And with all of that, we'll see you next time.